Okay, so we go through the different types of terms such as remote procedure call, what is remote invocation, and even I ask you to do one practical on that RMI, that you copy the code and run that application of RMI. So have you tried that application? Any one of you go through that application?
Yes, sir. Tried it.
Okay. So have you run that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So let's go to the next architecture. The next architecture is a resource based architecture. Next architecture is a resource based architecture. Okay. So we know that now we are using internet drastically, right? So many service providers are there over the webs. They are providing service to us. Okay. So whenever we try to access this type of service, we face one problem, that is known as service composition. Problem while accessing the services is service composition. Service composition means whenever we are connecting multiple services or many multiple components, let's assume that we have one component C1 doing the addition of that particular number. Then we have component C2 finding number of digits of that particular addition. What is the result or whatever the answer that is supplied to C2, it find the number of digits. Okay. Then C3 is a service. C3 is a component which check whether the number of digits are odd or even. Right. So if you combine these three services, C1, C2, and C3, then that particular composition is known as service composition. Okay, means we integrate multiple components of a system to give the final output or to concentrate on a single task. That particular thing is known as service composition, right? So now mainly what happened actually, whenever we access any content from that particular web service or web service provider, so there are some large collection of components are available at the server side. Sorry, something. Muskan just join. Okay, no issue. Okay, may I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so uh, we have so many resources available at the server side. Let suppose we go to the pen. So let's assume that this is your server. Now what they think, to develop a component based assembly rather than writing the code to the server. The issue with writing the code with the server is that whenever you write any code, okay, for any service and that reside on the server, suppose you want to change that particular service, in that situation you have to stop that server, okay, make the changes, and after that make that service alive. Let's assume that you are providing the service of finding the given number is prime or not. Okay, you are providing this service. So what happened? You are writing this service into the server. Now suppose your program is running in a proper manner here. We take small rectangle. So this is a service which is providing that given number is prime or not. So these are the client machines which are accessing these services of checking whether that given number is prime or not. Okay, by using remote procedure call, RMI, whatever it may be available. Okay. So what happened in this scenario? Suppose there is some technical issue regarding this problem, or let's assume that we are writing the code to check the number is prime or not, and we can't assume that one is a prime number, one is not a prime number. Due to that problem, we can't write a proper code. So in that scenario, what happened? In order to correct that problem, I have to stop this server. Then I will make changes into this particular service, and after that I will run the server. Okay. So what is the drawback of that particular scheme? For that particular time interval, the server is not available. Okay. But if we, this is our means the past architectures are like this, that their services are integrated into the server directly. Okay. But whenever we are considering that service as a component based assembly, then the components are added like this to the server. Means we can add component to the server like this. Okay. And then the client will access that particular service. Now, there is difference in between these two approach. In this approach, we need to stop the server, so server will not available. In this scenario, if there is problem for this particular service, okay, then this service will be removed. It will be modified, and after a proper correction, that service will be added to the server again. Okay. So what is the advantage of that particular scenario? So in that scenario, what happened? The server will alive and providing these two services to the client. Only this particular service, okay, only this service is not available at that time. So we can't shut down that particular server to modify the service. Okay. Now let's take one scenario of that, so you will understand what is that concept is. Okay. Let's say I am writing a program. Here I am providing 4 different services of such as addition. So add x comma y. Then I am providing subtraction service x comma y, multiplication service x comma y, and division service as x comma y. Okay. Then I write the respected code of these services. Okay. So here I write the respected code integer x comma integer y, and here I just write z integer z, and z is equal to x plus 1. So it will do the addition and it will print the result. Print. Let assume z. Okay. So in a similar manner, you assume that I have written all the codes for subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay. So after that, I run this program. Now suppose I want to make a small change to this add function. Then what I do? I stop that particular program and do the changes according to my requirement. But in order to make the changes, I have to stop this particular program. Okay. So this is your scenario one. Now second scenario, what I do, I made a exe for add file, and I call that exe here system add.exe. Okay. So system call will call that particular exe file. So I write system add system subtract then system multiplication is there. Do you know this system command? I think you may learn in advanced C or somewhere. System command, it will execute the Linux command or whatever the operating system command can be executed by the system command. Or maybe you use execute CV, execv command. So it will execute that particular file, add file, subtract file, and the division. Okay. Now, as I created an executable file, so I will create one file add.c, and whenever I compile this particular file, it will create add.exe for me. When I compile this particular program, add.c, it will create add.exe. In a similar way, if I write subtract.c, so it will create subtract.exe when I compile that particular program, and I will write the program for subtraction there, right? So now what is the advantage of this scheme? That it will call executable add file, so it will go to add for a particular file, it will do the addition of two numbers, subtraction of two number, multiplication, division, no issue. Okay, now this program will continue to run, even though if I want to make some changes here, what I do the changes. Suppose I have to add plus 10, so add plus 10 here. Okay, and I just compile this particular program. Automatically next time whenever add function is called, it will take the new exe file. So if you observe, in that scenario, I didn't stop my original server program. I didn't stop the original server program, right? So in this way, whenever you have facility to add services and remove the services, you will add that particular content as a component. That's why there is more importance to the component based assembly, more importance to the component based assembly. You just take example of car. Suppose car has any problem to any particular component, what we do actually, we just remove that component and place new component on in the place of that particular component. Suppose light assembly is the one of the component of the car. Suppose there is a problem for your light, you just change the light of car, automatically it will give you the new service at the next level, right? So in this way, suppose that particular thing, what we say, bulb is the is not a component and it is hardcore into the car. The drawback of that particular system is that you have to change the whole car, right? Have you have you observed the difference between that AMD processor and simple processor? What is the difference between that AMD processor motherboard having the AMD processor and the other processors? Have you know the difference? Okay, whenever you purchase any computer with AMD,
Performance is more on a Ryzen CPU compared to an Intel CPU.
But I think what is the drawback of that AMD processor? One of the issue is the performance issue, and the second thing is it is hardcore on the motherboard directly. means we can't take that processor out of that motherboard. Means whenever it is at the first time, whenever the AMD processors are device, the one of the main drawback of them is that just like our natural processors, we can't uh, remove that processor from the motherboard. That is the main drawback with the AMD processors. Okay, means if that processor has any problem, then we have to change the complete motherboard rather than changing that processor only. That is the main issue with the AMD processors. Okay, no issue. So here, if you observe, then I write some of the resources such as the program for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I call them as my resources: add, subtraction, multiplication, and division. These are my resources. Okay. So I name them according to their functionality. That this particular resource will do addition of two numbers. This particular resource do subtraction of two numbers. Okay. So we can identify the resource according to the naming scheme. Identify a resource using naming scheme. Right? Means whenever you are providing any service, you must name that particular service or a resource. Okay. Then all the resource are handled by 4 instructions. So I think you may go through these 4 instructions: get, post, delete. I think you are familiar with get and post. Is it? You are familiar with get and post? When you write any web browser program, in that you suppose you have to access value in a form, we use get. Suppose you have to send value out of the form, then in that case we use that post. Have you used that get and post?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are 4 functionality of this. Put will create new interface or new resource, right? Means we are putting that particular service onto the server. That's why we create a new resource by using that put operation. Then we can get status about the resource using get. Then post. Okay, so you get the resource, modify it, and transfer it new state. What is the function of post? It will get that particular resource, it modify the state of that resource and transfer it to the new state, right? And finally, suppose I have to remove that resource, so it will remove the resource from the service stack. Whatever the service stack or whatever the service queue is there, so it will delete that particular resource from that particular queue. So already we say that in resource based architectures, mainly we add new components or delete the components. We call them as resources. Okay, we name them according to their service, and whenever client wants service from that particular resource, it will request for that particular resource, and then that resource will be given to the client. Client will use that resource. Once the work is done, it will release that resource. So in this way, these resource based architectures work. So any problem in resource based architecture?
No, sir.
Okay, then the next architecture is publish and subscribe architecture. Publish and subscribe architecture. Okay, now here what happened, whenever a user want to access the service, so that particular user subscribe to that service, means initially the server will publish all the services they have available. Okay, I think you may use this. Suppose you are watching some YouTube videos and you like that video, what you do actually, suppose you want to subscribe the author of that video, then you subscribe, you use that subscribe button. Once you subscribe, then what you will get, the new services that is offered by that particular client in future. In future, suppose that client can publish more number of videos, then you will get a intimation of that particular videos, and even you can watch that particular video, right? Suppose let take example of Grammarly. So Grammarly is one of the service. You are using that Grammarly to check your grammar of your context. Is it right? So for free subscribers, they provide limited capability of services, right? But if you purchase the subscription of that particular service, in that scenario, you will get all the possible services, such as you can check the plagiarism of your content. So in this way, this publish subscribe model works. Means there in that easy interface for joining and easy interface for leaving that particular resources. So now mainly the next evolution class, or we say that modern class of distributed system adapted by this architecture, publish subscribe architecture. Okay, so in that publish subscribe architecture, in that what we do actually, this model mainly based on processing and coordination approach. This model mainly based on processing and coordination architecture approach. So what we do actually, we view our system, we view our system as number of autonomous processes. What is autonomous process? Can anybody aware of that? What is autonomous process? Do you know what is autonomous process? We know autonomous computers, the computers capable to communicate with each other, that is known as autonomous computer. Okay, so autonomous process means what happen actually, the process are able to communicate with each other, means they can send message, they can receive data from that particular process. So I think you may know the inter-process communication mechanism. So here the process can capable of receiving and sending data, that's why they are called as autonomous process. Okay, and the coordination process, so as I say, they can send and receive messages, right? So we say that communication, we call it as communication. Sending data and receiving data means we are communicating with each other. Okay, so the main goal of this particular system is, that coordination system is to maintain the communication and to have coordination between the processes. So you may say that how they coordinate with each other. Now let's assume that suppose you are sorting any data. Let's take example of merge sort. Suppose you are merging two different files. Okay, so now you are rely on two different processes which will give you the array as a sorted array as output, process A and process B. So these two processes will send data to the process C. Okay, so mainly we assume we have two processes, process A then process B. Okay, what is the main purpose of these two processes? that they will give you the sorted data. Now they communicate with the process C. Here they communicate with process C. So process A will send data to process C. Process B also send data to process C. And what is the purpose of process C? Is to compare the data of these two processes and again merge them in a sorted order, right? So this process C will not start sorting until that particular process will get data from process A and process B. It is not a case that process C will get data from process A and it will start sorting. That is not the case. That process C has to wait until it will get data from process A and process B. Once it will get data from process A and process B, then it will send, it will merge that particular data. So in this way, that particular